Hey everybody, today's video is one that I've been thinking about doing for a while and finally just kind of decided today was the day to do it. And as you can probably read by the title, I guess I'm calling this like, what am I calling this? Like cheap mic challenge, or can I make a good drum sound, a good drum sound with super cheap mics? So this is like a concept that I've been thinking about for a while, just because, in like the audio world or the recording world, there's, a lot of talk about gear all the time, which is fun, and important and everything. But, gear's not everything. A lot of people would say, it's like, it's not the gear, but it's the user, the person, that's running everything, kind of knowing how to use the tools they have, or even just use any tool to kind of get the job done. And so I was thinking about it, and I'm like, well, I'm used to, having a lot of nice mics up to capture, different parts of the kit and everything. So I'm wondering if I could get, a good, balanced, sound with just a couple cheap mics. And so I guess the answer in a nutshell is yes, but I definitely learned that you have to work for it a lot more. It's definitely a lot harder. It took me a lot longer to feel like I was getting a balanced sound. I had to like mess with not only the actual kit itself, but the mic positioning a lot more than I usually do when I put up nicer mics or more mics. So that's kind of like the short answer, but the video is basically going to be me exploring it and kind of showing you what I ended up with. So as far as the setup for this, I guess my goal was to just get like a kind of a tighter, punchy 70s-ish kind of sound. I do think, I will say on the front end, that I think being able to do this, like get a nice balanced sound, would be really hard with more open or ringy drums and or drums that are being hit harder. Especially if cymbals are being hit hard, just because, as I'll get to in a second, I'm using all dynamic mics, and so their frequency spectrum is not able to really capture like a nice hi-fi full frequency sound, and for the like overall kit mic in a very pleasing way, or like the low end thump of a super low kick. But more so the kind of overall kit mic is something that is hard to like capture in a more like beautiful, big, open spectrum. And so I knew going in that I was going to go for a more controlled, tight sound, just because I'm already putting myself at a disadvantage by doing this. So trying to get like a big rock sound that's big and hi-fi and beautiful is just kind of unrealistic with this many mics and the mics that I chose to use. So with all that said, I do think I came out with something pretty cool, but it took a lot of work, and I think this is kind of limited to a certain kind of sound. So the mics that I set up were just all my like cheapest dynamic mics, basically. I had a couple 57s, and then I had like a knockoff 57 and like a PV PA mic, which I'll have a little portion where I show you what mics are on what on the kit after I show you like a playing portion or whatever. So that'll be gone over in a little bit more detail, just so you can kind of see where everything was. But yeah, it was fun, but it was also kind of frustrating. I'm not used to, having to like really battle to get like a decent drum sound. I'm used to just putting things up where I kind of know they work, and usually it sounds good, and may tweak the snare a little bit or change the cymbal or something, but it's usually not like me really having to like dial everything in so hard. And another like kind of reason I wanted to do this is because, when you get used to the tools that you have at your disposal, you tend to like just fall into like, oh, I'll just do, use that mic, or I'll use this sound because I know it works. But I've been thinking more recently about, what does it look like to like, basically purposely put yourself in a position where you're limited so that your creativity kind of is spawned off of your limitation. I feel like there's a saying somewhere, I can't think of how it goes, but just the idea that it kind of requires you to be more creative, when you have limitations. And so I've been thinking about that and wanting to like be more bold when I'm tracking, either just for people remotely or producing or whatever. It's just like being a little more bold about maybe not always putting up like, 12 to 14 mics so I know I'm just safe, but rather maybe there's a session where I just decide to put up like 6 mics or something and like really commit to a certain type of sound, or put those limitations on myself or the client or the artist, just so we can kind of dig in and like find something new. So anyways, that was a very long-winded way to explain all this and the concept, but I wanted to kind of give the full spectrum of what I was thinking when I chose to do it and why. And yeah, and I also know, on a logistical front, like there's got to be people out there that don't have, a bunch of nice ribbons and condensers and maybe just have a few cheap dynamic mics laying around and think like, oh, can I record drums? Oh, I probably can't. I don't have what I need. And it's like, yeah, maybe you don't have the gear to maybe do every job, but you definitely have probably enough to do certain types of music or certain drum sounds if you just kind of learn what you have. So as usual, I'm going to do like a playing portion. Once I kind of finally got a sound going, I just sat down and played something. And then I actually, for this one, just like laid down like a really quick like bass and guitar, random kind of indie alternative sounding thing just to go with it, just because I felt like with this, the drums do sound good to me, like isolated, but it's more important for something like this is like, do they kind of work in in music, which this is not really music. It's just like a bass and a guitar. But yeah, I just thought that would give it a little context. And then immediately following the playing portion, I'll just do the like point of view video I took just to show you, each mic where they were. And you can see the kit as well, which I just had my like made in Japan kit up, which is also like a cheaper kit. So yeah, all in all, it's like, the mics I had up, I think I had up 5 mics, and you could probably get, if you bought them used, I mean, you could probably get all those mics for under $200, which is like nothing in music gear world. So anyways, I wanted to just try something fun, something different. So yeah, here's the playing portion with the mic explanation following, and then we'll jump back in and I'll show you each track. That's basically it. I hope this wasn't like a boring or useless video. It definitely challenged me, and I could see maybe some people watching this and thinking like, well, I'm never gonna do that, so this was that was a waste. But I will say, like, for somebody like me that's used to just being able to get pretty good sounds quickly, as frustrating as it was nice to just give myself that challenge of like, well, what if I didn't have all these mics? Or what if I had to sell some one day? Or who knows, maybe what if I'm in a situation where something needs to get recorded quick for whatever reason and I don't have my mics with me and I have to like use, I don't know, some venues random mics, or I don't know, you never know. So it's just good to like, you know, challenge yourself every so often and kind of like just, you know, try to say like, oh, can I make this work with less than ideal, you know, resources or situations? So that's what this was for me, and I thought it would be worth sharing as one of these videos. So yeah, I would encourage anybody that's used to using like, you know, a lot of mics or high dollar mics or both to try it. Just grab some of your like 57s or whatever your cheapest you know, dynamic mics are, and try it. I mean, I wish I would have had a few more just because I probably would have done like the stereo overhead or something, but those are all the cheap dynamic mics I had, besides like a one that I use for a trash mic, but it's more of like a mid-rangey kind of thing, and so I just kept it to the 5. So anyways, if you have any questions about this or you try it, I'd actually really love to hear some other people's experiences with this kind of thing. Just giving yourself limitations and seeing what you come up with. So yeah, pretty fun. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, like I said, I'll be happy to answer those or chat. If not, see you next time.